Welcome, everybody. It's August 14th. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see a nice crowd. County Board minutes of August 7th.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve
Second.
minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Burrell. Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Agenda. Do we have anything added? Do we need added to the agenda at all?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept today's agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like pulled for further discussion? I do have one thing. I'd like to pull the September 12th authorization for the county opioid summit. It's also committee day, so we need to have a little more discussion regarding that.
Item number B. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda with the item B pulled out.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Houston. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chair?
Commissioner Houston?
No, I was going to say,
No.
hold it.
Yeah, so is there anybody, I can't go to that, but I can't make it to committee meetings that day either. I have another thing I have to deal with. So if everybody's going to go to that, then we need to change the committee day.
Mr. Chair, I would have to miss my meth education and drug awareness meeting to go to the opioid summit, so I'm not going to make it that day.
I was hoping to attend because I'm curious of what what's out there as far as what they're thinking to combat this.
I'm hoping that someone can go because I think bringing back the information would be really helpful for all of us.
And Mr. Chair, if one of us was unable to attend, I would hope that somebody from the Sheriff's Department or the Attorney's Office would be able to make that, just to kind of give us an update on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way it sounds is that we'll probably have to change the committee day. So can I have a motion to approve attendance to the opioid summit? And
I'll make a motion.
We can talk about the moving committee day next week or something.
I'll make a motion to approve the attendance to the September 12th County Opioid Summit.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Regarding attendance at the opioid summit. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Mr. Adam Tagaro.
Mark, did you want to address the change in the committee?
No, I think we'll deal with that next week.
Next week.
We've got time.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention.
Okay.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. This morning I just wanted to introduce our new business analyst. This is Andrea Benedict. Andrea comes to us with experience from Capella in the same role there, and we've already got her loaded with projects for both project management and business analysis, and we just wanted to introduce her.
Good.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
Welcome.
Thank you. As Adam mentioned, I came from Capella, which is a higher ed company, so I have a lot of experience in IT from the higher ed, so I'm getting to know the county structure. It's going very well so far.
Okay.
And what day did you start?
June 20th.
Okay. So you've got a little, yeah.
So Adam's been keeping you a secret.
Not for long, since 0365 is coming out, so lots of fun with SharePoint to come. Yep.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So where do you live?
I live in Buffalo.
Okay.
Good. Not too far of a commute then.
Not at all. I love it.
Yeah.
And now, Adam, was this the one that you said that was going to solve the majority of our IT issues?
Yep, she guaranteed it.
Okay, all right, good. I knew there was one that you just recently hired that said that, so I was hoping.
Yes. Yeah. And he believes it, so.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Board.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Remember, we just had some recent training on OpenGov. So I'm going to actually have Lindsay walk you through July revenue expenditure budget report.
Good morning,
using
Chair.
OpenGov.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
For starters, in our training, you guys were made aware that we have dashboard set up specifically to the Commissioners. And to find that, within the OpenGov, in the reporting section, there's a dashboard to direct you to your specific dashboard, which has some highlights which I think are relevant. And it also has some information. Right here is the Commissioner dashboard. It gives you high-level information on our revenues and expenses, which is what I would like you to direct your attention to today. At the top, how are we doing on our revenues? Now, when you open into the revenues report, it'll take you into current month. So as you see, this is August. We are here to talk about July. So I'm going to go into the filters, switch it back to July. And so now you've got 3 years with our prorated budget to look at, to kind of give you an idea of where we're sitting. Overall, we're a little bit above where we would expect July to be for revenues. We are doing much better on our local option sales tax than we expected, which that was kind of a shot in the dark as far as what to budget there anyways, so we're doing better. That's where a significant part of our overages in the revenues are. We are a little bit under on the federal reimbursements, but that'll be a timing issue. We expect to get that coming forward.
Oh, the federal reimbursements, are that regarding the Health and Human Services reimbursements or those other federal reimbursements?
Predominantly, but all of the above.
This time it has to do with highway projects that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to your dashboard, how are we doing on expenses? And again, I'm going to flip it over. I'll take a look at the filters and flip us back into July. Again, we're doing really well. There's not a whole lot to talk about for how we're doing as far as revenues and expenses related to budget. There's nothing exciting. We're a little bit behind in personnel services, predominantly vacancies and turnover, to be expected. And then the other piece that we've got significant underage in our spending is in the 6,300s, but that's primarily related to highway contracts. We're just not churning through those dollars just yet in July. But we are where we would expect to be.
That's good news.
And then just one more that I wanted to show you is just how we're sitting revenues and expenses when you can compare the two together. Again, as we talked about, our revenues are a little bit over beyond what we've had for previous years, but where we would expect to be.
Good news.
Board, I just want to echo, the reason you need to filter back to July is we did successfully create that integration. So when you call up these graphs, you are live in August.
It's updating every night.
Commissioner Potter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Lindsay, with the sales tax option, is it possible to go in there and find out what we've collected for the first 2 quarters, or first quarter for sure, because the second quarter hasn't been reconciled yet, probably?
There's a tab here at the bottom for on your dashboard.
Okay.
There's a tile here that says, is your lost local option sales tax highway report? We can click in there. This one looks a little bit goofy, but this is where we are in comparison to where we were expecting.
What does the green bar, what does that say on the green bar?
Revenues.
What's the number on there?
5.1 million.
Wow, so
We were
far this
expecting
year?
2.6. Now, this is a prorated,
Yeah.
so for July, if I remember right, we were around 3.6 million, I think, for the total year.
And again, there's a corresponding expense, so
Yep.
Correct.
Which we're not spending it until after we've received it, so this is exactly what we would expect.
Thank you.
All right,
Good.
thank you.
Yeah, that's very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
the report before you is the request to accept the July budget reports.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any other discussions?
Just thank you. I'm getting more comfortable with the Open Gov dashboard because after the training, it did help pull some of it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had it for well over a year now. Good. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Good morning, Mr. Kreiser.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Here on the 905 item to ask or to present to you a resolution ordering the preparation of an EAW for the Wright County Road 17 gravel and sand mine, which is how it was entitled in the petition. This is for property located at 5836 65th Street Northwest in Franklin Township. Staff, at your direction, drafted the resolution which was attached to the board agenda. Open for discussion, Mr. Chair.
Anybody have any questions on anything?
Mr. Chair, I think we probably took this over pretty well last time, so I think everybody knows their positions, so.
So, if you would, Mr. Kaiser, just explain to everybody again what we'll be doing with this EAW.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, kind of the background of how this happened, we got a citizen's petition with over 100 signatures on it that was submitted to the Environmental Quality Board. They forwarded that over to Wright County as the responsible government unit, or the RGU, on that. We had a hearing on it, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And then this is just the resolution to direct the preparation of environmental assessment worksheet, EAW. It'll take, to get moving on it, could be done in as soon as 4 months, or if you take longer. I mean, these things can take a while, but if you get moving on it, they can get done fairly quickly, I think. So,
And who'll be doing the EAW?
what happens is generally the applicant is the one who does it. It's technically the county's document. We do it, we submit it, we finalize it, but there's drafts that go back and forth between the project proposer and planning and zoning. And we try to get it done. It gets posted, goes out for public comment, we respond to comments, and then we come here for a final hearing on it.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution ordering a preparation of an EAW for Wright County Road 17 gravel and sand mine on 65th Street Northwest, Franklin Township.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Just when we had the public hearing for the general public to understand, the EAW, because of the amount of people that filed a request to hear this, and it's going to be a lot safer and better in the long run, because if we would have denied this and they'd have filed an appeal on this, it would have cost a lot more money to get this done. This is the EAW is not that hard a process versus the EIS, and this way everybody, it'll be put to bed and everybody will know either A, it'll work, or B, it won't, and we'll know where it's at. And I think it's the most cost-effective way for the county to move forward on this issue and save us as per instructions of council.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I actually, on that, I will agree with Commissioner Potter. It will clear up some of the muddy water, because I think there was some things that were not factually right that were put forward, and as far as the shot being in the area where it's going to be mined, it would all be mined first and stuff, so that will all come to light, but I'm going to vote no on it anyway. Just I do not think it's required, and just with my experience and on the planning and zoning, my visits down there and stuff, I'm afraid that this is going to happen every time we start running a gravel thing. I know you're you say it's not, but I think it's opening something up, so. Anyway, but Mike's point is good, it will clear the waters a little bit, well, so to speak, that's.
And Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Potter?
as a further comment for Commissioner Burrell, just the gravel mining is one thing, but when you have the trap range there, you brought another element into that, which I think that's what needs to be cleared up. Unlike the one in Rogers that's across the river from Wright County, this one's a lot better situation set up to that one. That one actually got the shot went in the river. So they had to put a big wall and everything else, and the sound and then everything else. It was a whole different setup than this one. I think the perfect place for that is that location, but this will clear it up and to make sure. And the shot is what the element that brings it a little bit different than just a regular gravel pit.
And Mr. Chair, Commissioner Potter, we also have a floodplain that is going through, and we also have wetland impacts that are potentially out there.
And
Those are the three big things.
Commissioner Houston?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, I think that they were out at the range, and I think they're doing a great job. I think, they're planning this well. But there again, this gravel, it does add that other element, as Mr. Kreiser said. We've got three things to look at here, and let's just get it cleaned up and done.
All right. Resolution, Commissioner Vetch.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Matthijs.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As you may well know, last Wednesday, late afternoon, DNR was out doing a zebra mussel search on Pleasant Lake and found starry stonewort rather than the species they were going after. So at that time, I made a decision as the guy that operates the public access there on the north end of Pleasant Lake to temporarily close the access until further investigation was done to help kind of protect the lake, protect the spread. August 10th, press release went out about starry stonewort being confirmed in Pleasant Lake. And yesterday I got the DNR report late yesterday afternoon. So I didn't get that. Good. Which will show the location. That upside right, upside down. I'm backwards. So north axis Pleasant Lake, is right in the middle of the symbol. Purple dots are the starry stonewort infections that they found. As you can see, the main pocket's right at the base of the access in an area that you blown out by power loading a boat, so it is about 5 feet deep. Since this is more your decision to keep the access closed until treatments or open it up, I thought I'd bring it to you guys for your recommendation, rather than just taking it in my own hands.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is another access to
There's an
this
access
lake.
on the south side, on the city
Okay.
side, that is open. And that helped make my decision a little bit because I like public accesses. We're very fortunate in Minnesota to have such a great public access system to our waters. If this would have been the only access, there probably would have been a little more hesitation, a little tougher call, but.
But I think you did the right thing by closing it, and then do we know, are they going to go out with and try to harvest it with?
They are going to start hand pulling. I do not have an exact date. Probably within the next 1 or 2 weeks, they're gonna start hand pulling. And at that time, when they start hand pulling, we'd have to close the access anyhow for safety reasons. I was smacked with a propeller. And then they will do a herbicide treatment following that up, and it'd have to be closed during the herbicide.
I just think we just
Leave it closed, just keep
it closed
Keep it
until,
closed, yeah.
because there is another access, because you send the boats through there, you're just gonna you're gonna drag it out, and it may be already on the other side of the lake, we don't know, but I just hope not, so.
I don't want to risk other lakes getting it by people launching right there and getting it on. Their chance of another boat leaving it with it on it is so great that.
Yeah, and 5 feet deep. I mean, originally we had heard that it was deeper than that, so 5 feet is,
Somewhere,
Yeah.
they found it 5 feet to 10 feet deep, and the
Yep.
plants are 12 to 15 inches
Mark, can
tall.
you give
They
us
grow
a
fast.
perspective, like from the shore to the farthest out, how many feet are we talking, a couple 100 feet or 100 feet, or?
That's not very far out.
That's not very far. The access is, that's the dock.
oh,
That's
yeah.
the dock.
I'd
right
say
there.
40 feet probably.
So you're probably looking at 60 feet.
So it's a very small area then?
I mean, this scale on the bottom's 80,
Oh, okay, I see it.
0 to 80.
So it's probably about 80 feet
I
then,
can't, my hands ain't big enough.
80, 100 feet. Is there a dot up to the,
Definitely
to
less
the
than
top
80.
a little bit?
There's a dot right
There
here
is,
to the
okay.
north of the exit.
A little bit there.
I mean, I'd like to see us keep it closed until the herbicide treatment's
And
done.
it's actually, it's not, they don't actually use herbicide, but they have.
Well,
a-
whatever treatment they're
for
gonna
the
do after
alga.
they pull it, you said herbicide.
Whatever
It's a
they.
type of herbicide.
An alga,
Algicide.
algae, yep.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you,
Algicide,
Mr.
yep.
Chair. Mark, the positive part of this is not a DNR access, this is a county access, so, well, the DNR, it's a
It's a
tough.
cooperative agreement with the DNR.
Well,
They helped
hopefully
us
it's more
build it.
cooperative than it's been.
Yeah.
Because we need to get a handle on this issue real quick here. It is the correct thing to do because there is another access on the lake, so it's not like we're shutting people out of here. And the earlier you catch it, the better chance we have of controlling it. It was the right call to make, in my opinion. I wholeheartedly support, let's remove it, treat it, and see if it's really had an impact or, but it's gonna be at the landing areas where it's gonna start. And if we get it started here, if it's like 10, 12 inches tall already, with Lake Coronis, which you saw, that was more than 10 or 12 inches tall. That mat there was quite intensive, and what, 250,000 pounds of that they pulled
They
off?
said 5 to 10 feet.
Tons or pounds, whatever the big number, pulled that off. We don't want to get to that point.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Vetch?
Mark, if we keep this close, you want to leave it closed and then come back to us on like September 11th and let us know whether at that point you want to reopen it, or, because it sounds like it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. What are you thinking?
My opinion is if you're happy with our decision to what we did, to allow me to continue to work with the DNR and Alicia O'Hare with soil and water and our water management plan, and once they feel it's safe to open, we would open it.
Just leave it at your discretion.
That way, if
Discretion.
it comes up like, oh, Friday, hey, you guys can open it up, I don't have to leave it closed for a
Yep.
weekend.
Sure, that's totally,
Commissioner Harrison?
Mark, are they gonna have some buoys or something around that
With the depth
area?
being 5 to 8 feet, they can't drop the curtain. And I haven't heard if the DNR's planning on putting some buoys out, like stay out of this area or not.
Okay.
We do have some Lake Association members here. John Sadeh is one of them, I
Okay.
think. You the president, John? Past president.
Okay,
I don't know if you guys have heard if they're gonna market with buoys or not either, so.
I mean, that would be a good way to keep people out of that area, so they might get on the other access, but if they're driving through the area and pick it up on their boats, then they're gonna take it with them anyway, so to contain it as best we can would be,
That thing is, we have a Starry Stonewort class at the Nature Center on Saturday. So
really,
perfect timing.
yeah, for sure.
Did we, did the DNR look at the other site, the city access?
The DNR is going to continue their snorkel survey on those additional sites, the South Public Access being one of them.
So they haven't done it
Have
yet,
not.
so, okay.
As of yesterday in their report, have not done that survey over
And
there.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark, does this also include having some barriers put up there, like, the highway department or something, so people?
We, Parks Department put up barricades and signed it.
Okay, to help.
Yeah, we left the parking area open where the access is. If you're familiar with the access, you got the top parking lot and you drive down to the access. We left the parking lot open because people still want to use the fishing pier.
Yep.
Which it doesn't impact the fishing pier use.
Okay, so
But we blocked off the approaches going down to the access and signed that. That was
blocked and
temporary.
signed, so they know why. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I appreciate this proactive, action by the DNR as opposed to, when they found it on Sylvia, and the access wasn't closed right away, so this was a, I'm glad that they're recognizing that this is scary stuff.
The benefit of being a county-operated access is we have that ability
You have the
to
ability.
close it, where the DNR does not, really.
Yeah.
Their
Maybe
staff
not.
level does not have that ability.
Do
Of course,
you-
I just took it.
Do you want a motion from the board, Mark, to authorize you
They're just
the,
to
Before,
sanction, to,
well, we do want that, but before Chief Deputy is
okay.
jumping up and down back there, I don't know if
I'm
it's
just
got-
used to
I
cops
don't-
standing behind me, but
So I'm assuming he has something he wants to say.
Just a request, actually. Mr. Chair, members of the board, it's unfortunate this occurred on Pleasant Lake. However, this does bring into light that it is part of the regional inspection program, this lake is. Would it be beneficial after maybe this occurs and after the presentation by the Greater Lake Sylvia Association on the regional inspection plan takes place, what is it, in like possibly 2 weeks?
23rd.
We haven't
That we
officially
have some, maybe a committee, or committee of the whole, a smaller committee, to discuss Wright County's plan going forward. Obviously, none of us here are biologists, and this really isn't our area of expertise. The concern is that, you know, we're making policy, we're making decisions with really, without having that expertise, having, you know, does the county look at contracting with someone to come up with a plan for this invasive species in Wright County? Because, you know, just an example, this weekend, Pulaski Access, there were 2 inspectors on Pulaski Access. One was a city inspector, one was a county inspector. So on Sunday, side by side, the city inspector would ask the questions of all the boaters, where you came from, where you go, and all that stuff. As soon as the city inspector was done, the county inspector asked the same exact questions. So we had 2 inspectors on the same access at the same time. Our resources being utilized properly.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense there.
Those are just some of the anecdotal information that you might see from your constituents, but if the county would allow to have some type of a committee, maybe bring in some experts, because the philosophy of doing something is better than doing nothing may not always work out the
Mr.
best.
Chair and Chief Deputy, at Soil and Water meeting last night, they discussed that exact thing, to get all the players together and come up with a better game plan and maybe a better communication out to the public as well. So
Correct.
I think I could follow up with them, or we could, but I think they're actually going to organize that. It sounded like they got direction from their board last night to do that, so.
I was surprised that the city was doing inspections.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice to see us have a more hardened plan for like a rapid response from the
Right.
county as well,
Right.
included in that. Because right now, we just kind of deal it on a case-by-case basis, but it'd be nice to have some sort of a protocol that empowers Mr. Mattice.
Right,
He knows
I mean-
right away what he can and cannot
Yeah.
do.
I mean, that was wonderful. I mean, he did go into a rapid response, so I was glad that he had
Mr.
that
Chair.
ability.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do believe this should be a committee to whole and bring in as many players as possible, and probably have this as an evening one, so people on the public can actually attend that are stakeholders on the lakes around here. Just because it's that big of issue, and since we've been playing on the forefront of this, and being a little bit more proactive, I think we just need to keep that momentum going, and maybe it'll catch on other areas where the DNR and other counties that are starting to have the same issues will have some kind of program or something to follow. Because we are, in Wright County, the talk of quite a few counties that have lakes. How is this working, what you do? It's a pilot project. We're just trying to see if we can get a handle on it. No guarantees, but we need to try. And so I think it would be a committee of the whole would be the best route, and probably an evening meeting, just because of the nature and the people involved.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think maybe we should have a smaller group to set some guidelines before we have a committee of the whole? Otherwise, it can get awfully large.
I'm not against that.
Because we got to decide what topics we're going to talk about as far as at first.
Right.
And then second of all, who are the players that are going to talk soil and water, DNR, any other experts in the industry as to what responses we should be or not do as a county, so forth.
And Mr. Chair.
Law enforcement.
What the chief deputy was talking about with the city and the county doing the same inspection, we might be doing the same thing, because that's, what you're talking about here is exactly what went on at Soil Water last night. So, and they are planning on having the county involved, the RIP people, the lake associations, the DNR and them, and, you know, to have a smaller group to begin with. That's exactly what they were talking about. So
Okay.
maybe we could give them a little time, because that's going to be something that's going to be looking into the future, and I think that's where they were at too. So.
Well, I'm thinking something like in October, after we get the results back from the regional inspection with the DNR, and everybody has a chance to see how the whole summer went, and the other inspections at the different lakes. We'll have a little bit more information, so maybe October.
Are you thinking of a smaller group first in
Before.
October and then
Well,
later on?
no, we'll see what happens with the smaller group regarding soil and water, but
Oh, okay.
before we would have a committee of the whole in the evening, I'm thinking October,
okay.
more information.
And Mr. Chair, as long as we're on this subject, I did want to acknowledge that we did receive a letter, the commissioners did this morning, from Luke Johnson, the district manager of Soil Water, basically announcing, I told him it's I think everyone on the board knows about the infestation of the starry stonewort on Pleasant, but he also wanted to say that it was due to an inspector, a boat inspector, that in communication with a person having their boat inspected, that he saw zebra mussel on Pleasant Lake while he was ice fishing. Now, they didn't get told about it last year when they were ice fishing. The ice fisherman didn't say anything about it until he was getting his boat inspected. So they acted very quickly. Alicia O'Hare from Soil Water worked with the DNR, and so they were looking for the zebra mussel. They didn't find that, but that's when they found the starry stonework. So it was all, I guess what they're pointing out is that it's kind of indirectly, the inspection program indirectly brought this here to light that it's out there, so. And then they're talking also in the letter here about, you know, how, it's like the chief deputy was saying too, was how do you evaluate the effectiveness of the program, and are we doing the right thing and stuff? So it's all things that they have the exact same questions that we do, and stuff. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we did receive that communication from the Soil Water.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to continue the temporary closure of the ramp on Pleasant Lake with the discretion of staff to decide a reopening date in the future.
I'll second that.
After treatment.
After treatment.
Yep, second that.
Motion by Commissioner Batch, second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any other discussions?
Mr. Chair, the one last question I'd have for you is, we don't have a cost for treatment yet from DNR, if there's going to be a cost or not. Is that something the county, being that it's access County Beach?
I think
that we would-
absolutely, but the county putting a lot of
Last year
access on the
at
lake.
Cedar Lake, that's campground, one of our most popular swimming beaches, and that zebra mussels potential, which, you know, everything worked out fairly well for Cedar there. We did come up with a $5,000 max that the county would put in because of its county infrastructure on that lake. You know, now if it's Mink or Summers or something like that where we don't have a swimming beach, it was kind of the swimming beach conversation, how that affects the park use. That's
we do
something
have-
that once we get a cost, maybe we bring it back. for
We do have a
consideration.
swimming beach there at Pleasant.
Correct.
But, according to Soil and Water, it's possible that DNR is going to pick up the total bill.
Yes, that's
And-
what
and-
I'm hearing.
Yeah, and then also Soil and Water has some money available too
We
for,
have some rapid response money
yeah,
available.
so, I
We'll see
think,
what it comes in at, and if there's a cost difference, we might bring back a little bit.
yeah, unless you can get it out of your budget, then go ahead and get it done. So,
Mr. Chair, I just want to see, I mean, because we
that.
contribute to a lot of use of the lake, so, you know, even after the DNR, if there's future treatment on it, I'd rather see us be able to pony money into helping with it, because we are a substantial user of that lake with that park there. It's,
We are a member of the Lake Association as well, and we do provide an additional $1,000 donation to Pleasant Lake, same with like Cedar Lake and stuff for AIS control.
well, hopefully DNR is going to come through and we won't have to deal with it.
Yep, well, if that doesn't happen, we'll be back.
All right.
All right, thank you.
So
Mark.
we have the motion and a second. Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Committee of the Whole, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee of the Whole met August 7th at 11 o'clock. The commissioners were in attendance along with Coordinator Kelly on, what do you call the public outreach coordinator, whatever, with Fashing, Hevla, Cotilla, Meyer, other representatives from Hope of God, Meredith Beam, Charlie Francis, Nate Olson, and Whitney Hopkins. And the subject was the Open Gov training for commissioners. It was held in the training room. It's back behind here.
IT training room.
IT training room, correct. Okay, thank you for that. And it was the, basically for us that didn't really get on this very much, training on how to access it and how to navigate through it. I came out of it with a lot of good information and a lot of the fears of the unknown came to rest of what, you know, when you open something up, you're afraid you're going to contaminate something.
Don't want to hit the wrong button.
And being provided instructions on how to access and manipulate the data of Gov software. It is nice. We've gone that way. Like it or hate it, we're there. It is good information since we, as a board here, have taken the more transparency and openness in government so people can see where their money's being spent without having to, we'll get back to you in 6 months. They can get answers pretty quick. So it's just reviewed examples of reports and dashboards have been prepared with county data because it went live not that long ago. Francis provided an example of how he used OpenGov presentation information during his time as finance director in a little town in California. And it was quite enlightening what he was able to pull up so quickly for council members that ask questions that, you know, because it's tough to ask your finance director for an answer really quick, but the OpenGov did provide them the tool and the information quickly, which sometimes when it comes up just 10 minutes before a meeting, it's nice to have in a timely fashion. It's just information only. I thought I got a lot out of the training for it. Once saw it, I'm just going to have to discipline myself to use it a little more often, at least a couple times here and there, so you get more comfortable with it and get reports. It's like when Lindsay Meyer did the report today for the budget for July, pulled up the sales tax revenue they lost information. That was good news, but people can dial in and see what particular area is doing what. Again, it was just informational only, but it was I thought it was definitely time worthwhile, and I did get a lot out of it. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, and there is no recommendation.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewson. Any other discussions? One thing I'd like to add is that the other reason that we had the training is that eventually this will be public facing, so that we understand how to find the information when the residents ask us about what they found. So it's a good tool for us to be able to utilize. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Wright.
On August 7th at 1 o'clock, we had a committee of the whole here in the county boardroom with all commissioners present: Lee Kelly, Asselson, Derringer, Hevela, Hoffman, Meyer, and Wilczek. First item was the CAFR, the calculation for transfer proposal of general funds. Using the OpenGov we were just trained with 2 hours earlier, reviewed the total revenues, excluding bond proceeds. It was the discussion over the 2017 fund balance, which we are set to keep between, or need to keep between 35 and 50% of reserve fund balance. We are carrying forward a balance equal to 48% of the 2018 budget. We basically reviewed the 4 different fund balance categories. Recommendation was informational only on the CAFR. The second item was the proposal for the Sheriff's Office range project, 2 proposals were brought forward, one from Wold and the other from BKV, regarding the design aspects of this range project to hopefully bring us forward to giving us a scope of the project. We discussed pros and cons on both sides of the construction. There is the sides brought forward that the pricing were pretty much equal in terms of scope of price. It was also discussed that BKV is working with us on multiple other projects and has an understanding of our general, I'm sorry, this isn't the word that I'm looking for on here, the scope of the projects of our standards for Wright County. Feasibilities, yeah. So with that, the group made a recommendation to award BKV Group the contract for designs for the FBI Sheriff's Office Range project. With that, I make a motion to approve the recommendations and the minutes from the August 7th, 1 p.m. Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Vetch, will you tell the general public what CAFR means?
Yep, there was the calculation for transfer proposals of general funds.
Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR.
Oh, CAFR, I'm sorry, looks read the
Because
wrong
we have
one.
so many acronyms, we're trying to make a point to.
Comprehensive Annual Financial.
We're trying to make it a point that every time we have an acronym that we explain to the public so they know, because that's all we get around here is acronym. In fact, Christine has a book thicker than the dictionary with acronyms, and we just try to make sure every time we stay on top of this to let the public know what it means.
One quick question regarding the township.
It is Marysville.
It is in Marysville?
Yes.
Okay. I know there were some questions about where it was and...
Yep, I was wrong. I thought it was in Chatham, but I looked at the map and because it's like, yeah, it is south of 35, so it makes sense it's in Marysville, but there was some discussion about Chatham because it's just a few hundred feet from Chatham Township.
The lines are all real close there.
They're all, yeah.
All right, just wanted to make sure that we did have that correct. All right, any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Down.
Okay, the minutes we've all been waiting for. Commissioner Burrell?
Mr. Chair, the Committee of the Whole met on August 8th and to review or discuss the Wright County Health and Safety Program. And members present was the entire board. Lee Kelly was also there, and it doesn't say on here, but I believe Tim Dahl was also there, right?
Yep.
He was there.
Okay. And the representative from Integrated Loss Control, Michael Holmquist. And what they did is this firm reviewed the county's administrative safety program and evaluated the physical hazards for all 10 of our facilities, and basically went through what his findings and made some recommendations on what to improve. It said it was identified that there are currently a minimum 24 individual OSHA Safety and Health, OSHA is the Occupational and Safety Health Administration, compliance programs that apply to the county's various operations, and that we are in, there's more things that we're complying with that are out of compliance, but also one of the major things that we lack is the documentation, the administrative part of things, and he is recommending that we get more things in writing. OSHA doesn't require all these things in writing, but he said with staff turnover, retirements and stuff, you might have one person that's totally taking care of this certain safety concern, and when they leave, the ball might get dropped if it's not in writing. Also, overall recommended more training for safety concerns in the county, and also they have they call it an E-module. It's the Integrated Loss Control E-module, and this would help as far as documentation of our training, and there is a cost to the county for that, and for people to go through it. Said the county needs to do annual audiograms as well, and well as silica air monitoring, and that this would cost about $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the number of samples and locations. Tim Dahl also mentioned that carbon monoxide monitoring should also be done. And Commissioner Vetch reviewed the estimated costs for the air monitoring of $3,000 to $6,000, $13,000 to $15,000 for the audiograms on $250, 250 employees at $50 each. So, in Holmquist, the evaluator said that if the county gets everything in order in 2019 with administrative programs, tasks, and initial training done, moving forward in 2020, it would probably take an additional $15,000 to $20,000 to complete the necessary elements of the county safety program. The recommendations were to reconvene the safety committee to have some meetings to talk about these items, and then also to present the information at the leadership team in October. And number 3, to authorize implementation of the ILC e-module. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Newsom. Is there any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the minutes there, and you kind of go over quick because it's kind of an overview of it. The one that kind of stuck out at me is a physical hazard assessment of the 10 county facilities resulted in 245 observations. Most of them are minor in nature, but they keep adding up. And it is something that it's time for this to freshen this up, and this is the right thing to do going forward for us to make sure that the county is assessing all the risks out there and saving us money on our dues going forward with the MCIT. So my opinion of the about $50,000 that we're going to spend to get this done by 2020, we're probably going to be saving that in county fees pretty much every year. So to me, it's something that needs to get done anyway, and it's best to know where they're at, and so you can address them and let everybody know that if you do something like that's the way we've always done it, maybe that's not kosher to the rules.
But the liability's too great for not doing it, so.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're doing it right.
And there might be some grants available too for some of the safety things that are going on too. All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Newsom, Personnel Employee Relations Committee.
Thank you. The Personnel Employee Relations Committee met on August 8th. Members present, Delighten Hewsome, Lori Pollock, and others present, Virgil Hawkins, Steve Myers, Adam Tagaro, and Kathleen Brannon Merritt. The first request, or the first item, was to request to hire a highway maintenance worker. The highway's been short one person due to a highway maintenance worker who's been out for approximately 6 months, and we do have a return to work program. However, they haven't found a position exactly for this person yet. We'll see what going forward, if he's able to return to work or not. However, in the meantime, they have a lot of need for help, and they also, as it turns out, had someone else that turned in their resignation, so they'll actually be down 2. And they request that we go ahead and hire this person now, and we're going to also be requesting a new maintenance worker for 2019. So the discussion was, what if the person comes back? Well, they feel that they can work that in with their schedule and the fact that other people, they're getting word that others are going to be retiring next year. So we both, Delighten and I both agreed that since the position has not been staffed since March, and with the additional road projects and the winter season coming up, that we agreed with moving forward to hire a highway maintenance worker. And there is a stipulation, though, that if the budget request for a new employee is not approved, the next resignation received in 2019 for highway maintenance worker will not be replaced. So, and then we did approve today on our consent agenda the other request for a highway maintenance worker. Recommendation approved to hire highway maintenance worker prior to the 2019 budget approval with the contingency that if the 2019 requested position is not approved, the next resignation received for highway maintenance worker in 2019 will not be replaced. The second item was a hire of a senior technical support specialist above 12% above the minimum pay range. M. Tagaro, the IT director, reported that the interviews had taken place for the technical support specialist, and they had a very outstanding candidate who has extensive knowledge and experience. He has 18 years of experience within the help desk area. And the person actually lives in the area, and with the experience, this candidate actually would be taking a pay cut, but willing to accept the $27.40 per hour for a starting range, which is 12% above the minimum. And the range for this position is $22.51 to $31.51 per hour. Peterson commented that the length of time for background checks to return has been extremely slow, and it's taking sometimes 3 weeks to return. Figaro added that he would like this request approved at next Tuesday's board meeting in order to move forward with the hiring process. So we both, Light and I both agree that with the skills and experience to move forward. The recommendation approved to hire a senior technical support specialist with beginning salary of $27.40 per hour, which is 12% above the minimum of the pay range. The third item is the IT organization, and Adam Tagaro kind of presented his vision of going forward with having their senior developer positions, one focused in the SharePoint area and one in the on-base area. With the absence of the two senior developers, they run into some major trouble with new people, kind of taking over these projects and these platforms. So he'd like to see them be more focused and specific than such a broad scope and trying to cover all the areas. He's proposing to reclass the senior developers to a SharePoint administrator and on-base administrator dedicated to these specific areas with separate job descriptions. Although these positions are cross-trained and can handle project across the board, they've been modeling the structure
Using the two contractors.
using the two contractors. And I asked if this could happen during the compensation classification study that's currently in progress. Lori Pollock commented they have turned other departments' requests away because we are in the middle of the study, although meanwhile the county is paying for two contract workers, so that's something that we also have to look at because that's costing us quite a bit of money. And Tagaro would like to cease the recruitment for the current posting of the SharePoint position and focus on redeveloping the job descriptions as a SharePoint administrator and on-base administrator. Recommendation, approved to cease the recruitment for the senior developer, SharePoint, and approve the reclassification of the current two senior developers, one as a SharePoint administrator and the other as an on-base administrator. And Mr. Chair, or with the minutes, we need to add Barb Peterson. I kind of forgotten that, but she did come in to have this, to join us for that discussion. And then just a couple of typos, the spelling of administrator in the recommendation. But with the that, I would like to move approval of the minutes and the recommendation.
I just wanted to make sure that you do realize, too, that the one senior developer position has been open since December of 2017. We've posted it numerous times, and we're not having any luck, so, which is the other reason why we want the contract workers, and we're looking at different options.
Mr. Chair, I'm not gonna even discuss the senior technical, and I have a question about the request by the Highway Department, just because I feel like this opens up a door for procedurally other departments to add staff outside of the budgeting and then we have to be the watchdogs. If it's not approved, then that means we have to watch to make sure that it doesn't get backfilled. I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, we're so close to budgets, and that's the only reason I don't want to give the opportunity to set a precedence that departments can use this method to try and add staff, because it's something we've really never done as a practice as the county.
Well, we have.
We have it.
Not in my time, but yeah.
But we have,
We have.
and we do it, then we allow it to attrition.
Right,
So
and-
that it gets reduced.
And one, we discussed a temporary worker, hiring a temporary worker, but that's, you're limited to 67 days. And so, yeah, we went back and forth, and just the fact that this person's been out for 6 months and they're really behind, so.
The hardest thing is the attrition factor could take us 3 years till you could attrition another one out
No,
potentially.
we have.
We have two that are.
There's quite a few.
There's quite a few that are within, and that's the only I'm worried about, is that all of a sudden if we say that
Right,
it takes us
and-
3 years to attrition out, then everybody forgot about it, because nobody's gonna look back 3 years in minutes, then you allow people to add.
Right.
No, our human resources people will keep pretty close track of that.
Right.
Otherwise, if they don't, we blame Lee.
And, I mean, and if we do not approve a new highway worker, maintenance worker for 2019, then,
We have a lot of
we lose
proposals
the
for
position.
staff, and I just don't want to feel like anybody else got cheated in the process.
Right.
Because they kind of slipped it in this way. Otherwise, next year, come July at our personnel meeting, we're going to have a bunch of people trying to twist our arms to get personnel before
Right,
budgeting.
yeah.
Well, right now, this is budget neutral.
right.
Yeah, it's budget neutral until that other
budget
employee
neutral.
comes back to work.
Yeah, and it's,
Well, even then,
they're really not sure that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I respect that they want to get somebody trained ready for plowing and stuff, because they'll be really
yeah,
hamstringed with
Yeah.
that, so.
yeah, right now, with the other person leaving, they're gonna be down two until they can hire another one also. Yeah, we had quite a discussion.
It looks like it, and that's the reason I just wanted to, put out my own sentiment just for other department heads, that
Right.
this isn't the norm that we're going to be using for methods to try and get staff through the budgeting process. So,
Right,
Okay, did you make a motion?
yes.
None. It's made.
Thought I made a motion to approve the.
minutes in the recommendation, you did, yeah. Who
We
seconded?
we don't have a second.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussions at all? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Revisions to, I take that back. Schedule Committee of the Whole meeting on 8/23 at 10:30 to discuss the following: fairgrounds paving and the Greater Lake Sylvia presentation.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to schedule a committee of the whole meeting on August 23rd at 10:30 a.m. to discuss the fairground paving and a Greater Lake Sylvia presentation.
I'll second that, and Susan, thank you for all your hard work in trying to coordinate that one, because I know that one was way harder than a number of emails and phone calls.
Welcome back from vacation, huh?
So the motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch?
Yep.
Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Revisions to the budget schedule. Coordinator Keller, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I had conversation with Lori Vici from Extension. She was unable to make the time we had assigned her on August 20th. Knowing we were planning on scheduling a committee of the whole for 10:30 on the 23rd, pitched to her, could we meet with her prior to the 10:30 meeting? So we'd meet with Extension at 10 a.m. on the 23rd, if that works for everybody's schedule. And because there would be a gap on the 20th, I just moved recorder back the half hour to fill that spot, is the two proposed changes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the budget schedule.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any other discussions? Looks like we're going to be very busy the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Friday's the kickoff.
And then the third week after that, because of ERP, and it'll get curious right into the end of the year.
All right, any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates. Coordinator Kelly, let's start with you today.
Well, I guess tomorrow, trying to get coordinated a plan touring 2 buildings with BKV Group. Some of the staff are going out on that tour. Good meeting yesterday with the auditor's office regarding the budget. Trying to get all those documents pulled together and ready for you guys for the kickoff on Friday. So that's really kind of taken over right now. So,
Are there any commissioners going on the tour tomorrow?
Is
Or
that Thursday?
Thursday.
I'm sorry. Yes, Thursday.
It didn't work.
No, I can't either. My commitments already. All those in favor of making Commissioner Burrell go?
Yeah, I think,
We'll have a cardiologist on staff.
well, they will be driving by the Mayo because they're in Rochester. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't, I'm sorry.
No, it was kind of short notice. It was,
Yeah.
they took and,
I have a military funeral that day. so-
and, you know, the one question I have is that they're planning on touring Health and Human Services buildings, but the building we're considering is not.
It's like, it's an all building, it's an encompassing building, so, yeah.
But I guess it'd be good for them to try and figure out how other people are doing it.
Mr. Chair Lee, is BKV looking at doing another, of a total government center type tour, or no? Is in this process?
I'm not aware of it at this time. They kind of pitched this when they pitched it, as it is a bit of a tight timeline.
I mean,
Some
we
interest.
don't have to be under their timeline that they're saying, that's.
True.
You know,
They had just received some comments from Health and Human Services that they wanted to look at the building, so that's, I think, what prompted it, but I know when we had the opportunity to tour some court facilities, we had some chance to look at the government areas of the other
Yep.
Right.
outside of courts when we did tour, but
Well, one of the things that should drive this new building is the departments that people come in for the most should be right there, front and center. And DMV, to me, should be right there. You know, people should not have to be wandering through a building to get something real quick.
correct.
And then probably Health and Human Services are probably the second one, and, but hopefully that's one of the things that we'll be looking at is that,
It's been paramount in the discussions, yes.
yeah, it doesn't make sense for people having to drag themselves all the way through a building just to get some license tabs. And maybe we do a drive-through, although the way it sounds with all the new
We should
things that are
design,
going.
we should design the new building just like the one here, where they just walk right in the door and you're there.
Yeah, you walk in the other side.
Yeah.
Yep. But no steps.
My point is, we have a pretty nice setup now.
It could even be better. All right, anything else that you have to add, or
Sir,
that you want to add? Commissioner Burrell?
For
advisory.
Advisory, anything?
Yeah,
I
you
know
know
you
what?
had a couple things you wanted to say.
I do. I wanted to say the
All right, and Commissioner Hisum,
the Cokato Corn Carnival started last night. They had the parade. We were up, my wife and I went up for dinner and caught the end of the parade. And I just wanted to say, for $3, you get your Cokato button, and there's sweet corn tonight. And it's probably the best sweet corn you'll ever have, and you get as much as you want. And also you get entered in for $5,000 worth of cash prizes, so you have a chance to win back big time. And then also, my last celebration in my district, Montrose celebration is going on this coming weekend, so a lot of partying this week down in
Lots
District
going
5. That's it.
I went to the military appreciation, guess kind of celebration. They had a little meal. They served brats. This was Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, and the Legion was there, and it was just a really nice in Sturgis Park. And our Veteran Services officers, Greg Picard and Steve Svoboda, were there, and they were helping serve up brats, and so it was really nice. And just to recognize our veterans, it was great. And then the White Sidewalls played, and they're just like fabulous. So
Yep.
yeah,
They're
it was
still
fun.
alive?
Huh?
Not the original numbers.
White sidewalks.
That's, I mean, I went to
Some of
Wright
them are, I
sidewalks when I was a
Some of them are,
kid.
yeah.
Hey, they're kind of about my age, but they're rocking. They're still really rocking. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, last week really didn't have much going on. Just meetings here at the county.
Yeah, that's,
Parade on, and St. Michael's Days and Nights on last Saturday, and that was a pretty good turnout there. Nice warm weather for a parade, went fast, so didn't get too badly sunburned. What's coming up this weekend? Up in Maple Lake is Gearhead Car Show.
oh, yeah. Right to mention that.
Together.
And
Playing again?
and then Starry Trek, which Mark Mattice mentioned earlier, is at also in Maple Lake at the Nye Park, and then they'll be sending people out there from there to go to different lakes to look for stars, stonewort, and that sort of stuff. So anybody available to do that? You're welcome to it, and then we're having
Saturday,
Tonka Toasters at my folks that evening on Saturday, so.
Oh,
Now you guys are invited, but just want to let you know that.
My uncle lives across the lake, I can always crash.
Yeah, had a light week last week, so I have nothing to report, so. Other than we had a lot, we should have light week, we had a lot of county stuff, but no advisory committee, so we had a lot of county
yeah, we
meetings.
did.
Yeah.
Last week I had I-94 Coalition meeting Thursday afternoon, and basically was discussing, with the Quarters of Commerce money and our upcoming trip that's at the end of September, the 26th through the 29th on Washington, D.C. And how we're going to put together, MnDOT did put together a very large 3-ring binder with the whole project and all the details. Small type, very few pictures, a few graphs in it, but it's been sent out to DC already. It's quite detailed. We are expecting that a 94 Coalition to have to pay for that, but MnDOT does have a budget for these things when they submit for federal money. We're asking for 10 million, 26 million is the top, so we're feeling pretty confident we're going to prevail on this. But we are bringing quite a few people out. In fact, I believe a couple people even from Monticello are going to make it out, even though it isn't up to their point because they're the next progression here. So we gearing up towards that. Andy Burmeister from Lockwood Grindle is setting up all the different meetings and that, and so it looks like the stars are aligning good for us. We just hope it's good news at the end. That's to help put money on top of, because the bill is the invest in the leverage investment in the highway. We already have that with the Quarters of Commerce and with our local funding, so this is just an enhancement, which is nice. So we're going for that. Hopefully get it, because then we get that. Hopefully get that whole project done in 1 year instead of making it a 2-year project. Try to save the business as much as you can. Yesterday I had AMC, Transportation Alliance Board of Directors meeting in the afternoon, and that was to deal with what happened last session. We were asking for the constitutional amendment for the auto parts to be part of the Road and Bridge Fund. It appeared to create some fractures within the coalition because some people are all transit, and the auto parts, it said Road and Bridge because by statutory authority that's where it goes. So we had to get through the House just fine, but the Senate is where the hangup is. There's a half a dozen in the Senate that will not do a constitutional amendment to save their soul. They won't do it. So it's like, how do we regroup? What do we learn? We at least got the message out, and so there's a lot more momentum to do something where there's, just maybe a statutory agreement on this. So we're going to have to build on what we did last year and take the victories, the small ones that were there, and go forward with it. Part of what happened is the opposing side, the transit people, were out and flooded all the legislators' offices early once they found out what we were going to propose, and just basically the amount of collection would be less than 0.6% of their budget, but yet the narrative that they were being told is that all of a sudden we're gonna be kicking grandma out of the nursing home and the kids are gonna be not being able to have any money for school and everything else like that. That's not the truth, but as we all know, a lie gets around the world faster than the truth gets its boots on in the morning. So we've got to break down that narrative. We've made some inroads with some people. So now for this year, next section coming up is the budget year. So that's got to be a little different how you do it, although they do bonding in budget years at times. It's going to be a softer asking more of the education on how we're going to move forward on more education and where the road problem is. I mean, they all know where it is. It's a matter of where to find that funding and how to do it. Like everybody else, we're waiting on who's the next governor because that'll dictate what's going to happen on transportation infrastructure funding. Another thing we talked about is the next year's fly-in. This year we ponied up with Wisconsin to go forward, and it actually worked out pretty good. But one of the problems that came up is that it was right before Memorial Weekend, and I definitely had the feeling on the last couple of meetings, I was in the way of them getting to the airport to go home. So they weren't really giving you full attention. So we're going to go back to our June time, but we're going to schedule it when they're in committee. And hopefully I'm going to reach out to Anthony Bedell, who I met out in DC, briefly with the question and try to get him to be our featured speaker out there in the next Transportation Alliance to how everything federally comes in, and whether it's him or an underling that gives us the time of day in the Eisenhower building, which is a great venue for that. Try to get that set up because he's got enough time now where they can be able to schedule it. We always try to get Elaine Cho, but that's always a really tough one to get. So we're going to work on that, and our next meeting's in October, and the annual meeting's in November. So let's just have to keep forward with that and just keep advocating for the roads. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Well, one thing I did forget to mention is today's primary day. Get out and vote. Only once.
Yep.
But get out and vote. Anybody else have anything? And we are adjourned at 10:11.